is a very smart man. You don't have to like what he does, but he is smart. And he's made it clear that he's not going to try to conquer Western Ukraine or all of Ukraine. And again, he doesn't have the military capability to do that. So the idea that he's going to conquer Eastern Europe and then threaten Western Europe the way the Soviet Union did during the Cold War, this is poppycock, to put it bluntly.
But you anyway, need was it Colin Powell or somebody said at the end of the Cold War, all I have are what Cubans and jihadists or something. I need an enemy. I mean, in order for these military juggernauts to continue and to expand, if they don't have an enemy, they'll create one.
Yeah. Let me just make a point about that, Chris, because I think that's a very interesting point. The problem that the Europeans face, different European countries, is that as long as the Americans are there and the Americans act as the pacifier, what the Americans do is they solve all the collective action problems that the Europeans would otherwise face. So if you take away the United States, right, you take away the pacifier that sits above these European countries, all these collective action problems begin to come racing to the fore. And differences among European countries that they can't settle themselves, right? And the United States is no longer there to settle for them, come racing to the fore. And the great danger is, in the absence of the United States, these centrifugal forces that are naturally at play anytime you have a handful of different countries, these collective action problems, make it impossible for Europe to act as a single entity in any meaningful way. We refer to Europe today all the time, and we talk about Europe like it's a single entity. And the reason you can do that is because you have the EU and you have NATO. And what underpins all of it is the American military presence. You take away the American military presence and those centrifugal forces that were there before the United States became the pacifier, they come racing to the fore.
And know, John, the perfect example of that is, I covered the war, is Bosnia. Because at the inception of the war in Bosnia, the Europeans tried to handle it, and it was an utter disaster.
Exactly. And in came the United States and NATO. But Chris, the point I want to make to you that builds on what you were saying earlier is that one way to deal with those centrifugal forces is to create an external threat. Right? In other words, if you have an external threat, that forces everybody to come together.